Welcome back to the Caregiver Minute, where every weekday, family and professional caregivers gather to refine their skills, gain inspiration, and prepare to serve. Ask anybody who knows a little bit about history who invented the telephone, and they'll probably say Alexander Graham Bell. But there's some controversy about that. You see, in 1849, many years before Alexander Graham Bell filed a patent for it, an Italian immigrant named Antonio Meucci started developing plans for a talking telegraph. And in 1871, 5 years before Alexander Graham Bell got to the patent office, he actually filed an announcement with the office about the development of a talking telegraph. Hardships prevented Meucci from renewing that announcement of the invention. So then 5 years later, Alexander Graham Bell showed up at the patent office. But it actually gets more complicated than that. It turns out the same day that Alexander Graham Bell showed up at the patent office, Elisha Gray, a professor from Oberlin College who had invented a very similar talking telegraph kind of device, also came to the patent office. Bell's entry was listed as the 5th for the day, while Gray's was listed as the 39th. So the credit went to Bell. But it shows you how close this race was, not to mention the fact that Meucci had been working on it for decades. Now you might be wondering, why is Eric sharing this tidbit of history with family and professional caregivers? It's to illustrate the fact that ideas are like light. You see, the sun shines, and it shines on people all over the place. Everybody's affected by that sunlight. And if you look back over history, it seems that ideas kind of rain down on us in a similar way. It's remarkable how often people in history have had similar ideas at about the same time. So if you're getting a good idea about something, there's a good chance that someone else in the world is also getting a similar good idea. The difference between having a good idea and making a difference in the world is putting it into practice. I don't know how many other people besides Meucci and Gray and Bell actually got the idea for the telephone, but those were at least 3 that moved forward with the idea and tried to do something with it. Ideas are also like light because they sort of filter down in a general way. But once that idea gets concentrated and you start focusing on it and you move forward with purpose, that's when magical things start to happen. That's when we solve big problems in our homes, in our families, in our businesses, and in our communities. Have you ever played with a magnifying glass? When I was a boy, my brothers and I had one, and we would burn up all kinds of things, everything from insects to wood to plants. We tried it on all sorts of stuff. A magnifying glass takes the rays of the sun and concentrates them, and if you hold it just right, you concentrate them, it can burn through all sorts of things. In fact, if you have the right kind of magnifying glass, you can burn right through metal. The sun is incredibly powerful when it is concentrated, when it's focused. That is true of ideas as well. A general idea that sparks something for us to think about is good. But what becomes incredibly powerful is when we focus that idea. We study its nuances. We bring things together in a concentrated way. And we put all of our energy in one direction. Serving other people is highly rewarding, but it's also pretty challenging. And I think it's important to be always looking for better ways to do things, looking for fresh ideas, new perspective. I think we need to pay attention to the ideas that come down, to take time to just sit in the sun, so to speak. Think a little bit, bathe in those ideas, and then when we find something that seems to be a good one, concentrate it, put effort on it, move in that direction, and see what happens. I hope this gives you some food for thought, and I hope that you're able to find some really good ideas today to go out and magnify a little bit.